everyone, it's Annette. Welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I made a card using an ink drawn floral element, and then I did some watercoloring and some stamping and some ink blending, and I wanted to do another card. These cards are very, very easy to do, and you don't need to be a great artist to draw something simple. And I'm proof of that because I'm not a great artist. That's why I love making cards using photopolymer stamps, because the artwork is already done for me. So it's a little intimidating to get a pen and draw on my own, but I'm making myself do this just to prove to myself that I can do simple things. And they look great. So what I'm going to start with is a Sharpie pen, and I'm just using a black pen. And since I am going to be using watercolor, this is a permanent ink, so that's important. If it weren't, the black ink would just blend into the watercolors. So what I'm gonna do first is draw my design. And I'm gonna try to draw a flower that I'm not great at. I've been practicing and each one comes out different. So I'm gonna do my best here, and I'm gonna just put one flower on here, and then later we'll do some ink blending, watercoloring, and stamp a greeting. But I want to kind of bring my flower in, not in the center, but just a little bit offset. So what I'm going to do is, this flower is going to have 5 petals, and I'm going to draw the petals without picking up my pen, and we'll see what happens. And at the base of each petal, I want them to meet at the same place. So let's just give this a start and see what happens. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, it's a little wonky, but that's all right. And then I'm just going to do a bunch of curly cues here, and then I'm going to bring down a stem just like that. And then I'm just going to add some little stems with just some leaves at the end, and we'll just go here and maybe bring that down and come up. And let's do another one. And then maybe another one of these little cuties. Okay. All right, that's all I'm going to do to that. So that's the drawing. We're going to put some watercolor on it. We're going to keep this very simple, and we're just going to see what we get at the end. So, as in my last video, I'm using Art Philosophy's Watercolor Confections, and this is a watercolor pan set, and the name of this pan set is called the Classics. So I will pull in the pan set. These are really cute. They're actually very nice because they're in a metal container, and they travel well if you like to travel and do art. I haven't ventured out into that space yet, but you never know. And then you just want to take a spray bottle of water and activate your paint. So just give them a little spray. It doesn't take a whole lot. And then you'll just let them sit for about 20 seconds. I've already sprayed mine, so mine are ready to go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a number 6 round brush and just put some color onto the petals. I'm not going to color them all in. I want to leave some white space because that just adds to it. And as you can see, my brush is very dry. I forgot. I want to dip it in some water. So you do want to have, let me show you, 2 pots of water. One will be your rinsing water, so that will become dirty, and the other one will be clean and remain clean, and that's how you will re-wet your brush before taking it into the paint. So right now I'm rinsing my brush off in the dirty water, and then I'm dipping it into the clean, and I'm going to put it onto my paint. I just want to get it a little more loose. And then I find I just like to put some of the paint into the pan, and then I can add water to that to make it loose. I want this very, very loose, very saturated, or not saturated, the opposite of saturated, diluted. All right, and then you can always test your saturation on the paper towel to kind of see. Again, I'm going to put a little bit more water in here. And then what I'm going to do is just bring in some color. Okay, just going to bring in some color here. Okay. And I'm going to try to pick up any blobs of water because they'll dry like blobs. And if you go outside the line, it's fine. It's totally fine. This one up here, just for variation, I think I'm going to add more color to it. And you can even take more saturated, just go into the paint pan and just, while it's still wet, go around the center. And you can even add water and it'll bleed up into the flower. And that gives a really cool effect. All right. And then for the leaves, I think I might just put a little bit of green onto the tips of these leaves right here, these little ones. Okay, just like that, just to give a different color. And then that's it. That's all I'm going to do for the coloring. But I'm not done yet. I am not done with this. So I want to make sure this is really good and dry before I do the next piece. So I'm going to bring in my heat tool and I'm just going to warm it up just like I did in the last video, and I want to dry this. So I'll do that. It won't take long, maybe 20 seconds. Okay, so there we have a flower with a little bit of paint on it. And then next I'm going to bring in Ginakdesigns Premium Dye Ink, and this is called Ocean Mist. And I'm just going to use my blending brush and get off any of the residue ink from the last project, and we're just going to ink blend around the perimeter. And I'm going to bring in a post-it note because I'll probably be holding it down so I don't get ink on my fingers and accidentally get it onto the card. Oh, I do want to leave some white space, so let's just go around the edges. I need a little bit more ink here. Okay. Go all the way around. And we'll just do a little bit more down here. Okay. And that's it for the ink blending around the border. And this will all smooth out once it's dry. But the next step I want to do is, and I really like this, adds a very nice touch, is doing some ink, just splotching some black ink on the background. Trying to make room for this so you can see. Let me zoom out. And I'm just going to put the panel in the ink splot box. And I'm going to use distress ink and black soot. And I did this in the last video too. And you can really use any color. You can use gold inks. White makes nice snowdrops if that's the look you're going for. So really any color. But since this is a blue and black kind of themed card, I'm going to go with the black soot. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that just to thin it out. And I'm going to use a smaller round brush. This is a number 2. And I'm just going to pick up some of that ink. And then I'm just going to tap it onto the card panel. And I like the number 2 rounds because it gives a nice, very fine splatter. Maybe just a little bit more. Okay. All right, let me get that out of the way. And there you have that. So again, I want to dry this because my next step is stamping, and I want to make sure this is good and dry. All right, That looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and stamp a greeting on it next. I'm going to bring in my Misty tool. This is the mini Misty, and last video I used these Gina scripty sayings. I might still do that, but I also found this Doodle Sayings from Gina and I kind of like this. So I've never used these before. So let me get these out. And I kind of like, let me get this up in the stamper. A little bit warped, but that's okay. I kind of like I've been thinking about you, and it fits in there right really well. Or hello friend, happy for you. Um, they're all gonna work. But let's do the I've been thinking about you, and we'll put that right. Let's go a little bit lower. Just make sure it's straight. Okay, just take your time with it and make sure it's super straight. It looks good. And then since this is a new stamp, it has the residue on it from the manufacturer. So I'm just going to rub my hand over it and get that off. And that way the ink will adhere a little bit better. We might have to stamp more than once, but that's okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to use Gina K's black Onyx. And make sure that is down real well. For some reason, it's warped a little bit just because of the water. So I want to make sure this stays down and does not come up. Because if I have to stamp it again, I want it in the exact spot. So I am going to tape it down. Now I know it'll be there. Okay. So just going to lightly get some ink on here. Oops. Okay. And we're going to press it down real light so we can stamp it again. I'll just do one more. Let that ink transfer. And that looks really good. I've been thinking about you. Okay. So let's get this stamp wiped off and put away, and then we'll put the card together. All right. And so just again, this panel here is Nina white cardstock, 65-pound weight, and it's cut 3 1/4 by 5 inch. And then I have a matte layer just using black cardstock that I had in my stash. It's also 65-pound weight, and it's 4 inch by 5 1/4. And we'll go ahead and adhere that down. Tape runner. Okay. And we'll get a nice 1/4 inch border around using these measurements. And before I commit and really press this down, I always like to look and make sure I got a good even edge, and I don't, so I'll just do it again. Okay, right about like that. Okay, all right, and then we'll take the card base, and this is Nina Solar White cardstock in 110-pound weight. It's a little heavier, that way the card will stand up nicely. And then it was a sheet of 8.5 by 11, and I just cut it in half at 4 1/4. And then we're just going to fold it over, and you can put a score line on it using a scoring board, or you can just fold it over, meet the corners up, and then flatten it out with your Teflon foam folder. And then we just adhere the card front to the card base, and we got a card. All right. Here we go. So this is the card finished. It's super cute. It's just lovely. And I'm going to pull in, this is the card I made in the last video. So these two cards are very simple to do. They don't take long to do at all. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I will take a picture and put it at the end of this video. And as always, you can go to my website, ascarddesign.com, where you can find these cards and many others, plus some sticker sheets. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, make it a great day.